What's happening, everyone? I'm Jordan, and this is Front Run Tech. And it has been a bit of a roller coaster here in the markets for about the past week and a half or so. And we're going to get into that and what is the cause of that. And we'll start here with Bitcoin, as we always do here on the 8-hour chart. And of course, Bitcoin did break out to a new all-time high of about 124,270. But as you can see here, Bitcoin was just able to barely set that new high. It was not able to really impulse for another leg up. Basically, double top there in the short term. And after setting that new all-time high, had a very sharp correction back down below this local support level, and then since then it had continued downwards for a pretty decent dump here in the short term. And the cause of this was actually, I believe, the high inflation numbers that came out right at this time that caused the markets to go from a risk on environment to quickly go into a risk off environment, and that sent that those inflation numbers really sent Bitcoin downwards. All right, and this started to get a lot of the market into some real fear here as Bitcoin kept coming down. It had a breakdown of the main ascending trend line right here, which was not good, and the market started to get very cautious. You started to see a lot of people talking about Bitcoin going much lower potentially, this being the top, etc., all the normal stuff you hear when the market gets in fear. But the interesting thing is that Bitcoin was able to actually come down again and test exactly this previous high where it tested before and held, and it got a big hold right at that level as a kind of a double test of the previous high. And then you could see this huge reversal candle, and what happened here was that we had the Jackson Hole summit, and Powell was surprisingly dovish. All right, and this was a huge thing for the markets, and this immediately sent the markets back into a very risk on environment. All right, and you're going to see that even clearer with some of the other things that we'll take a look at, but that's what caused this big reversal candle in Bitcoin and the hold at this important horizontal level. All right, and you can see that so far where we're at currently, Bitcoin did get back above this local horizontal level. It's now coming back in on a little bit of a short-term dump and trying to retest that level, currently holding as of now. That looks perfectly healthy. Right here you can see the double bottom potentially, and then coming back in to test the middle point of that W. So this looks healthy. If Bitcoin is recovering back up, this is kind of exactly what you'd want to see. So let's just hope that it can hold this horizontal level it's at now, and we'll see how the upcoming week goes. All right. Um, Other than that, we're still just on the downside. We're still just looking at this horizontal level that it just caught itself at, the previous high over here. That's the real level to pay attention to on the downside. If that does eventually break, that is going to be a clear, change of momentum from kind of sideways momentum to now really turning more towards some downside momentum. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly, because this is actually pretty interesting here. So obviously we have been watching this purple trend line for quite a while, the big inverse head and shoulders, and look at Bitcoin here on this weekly candle, which is going to close tomorrow evening. Look at this long downside wick, but look exactly where it's holding so far. Right on the retest of that purple trend line. So if Bitcoin can hold here as of this weekly candle closing tomorrow night, that is going to be pretty bullish. And you couldn't really ask for it any better way here on the weekly chart as far as finally getting that breakout and then a nice long retest of that breakout, really paving the way for a big move up here. All right, so just keep an eye on tomorrow night, this weekly candle closing, and let's make sure that it can close with a hold, meaning above this purple trend line, but it looks good for now. All right, now let's go take a look at some other stuff here. As far as what's been causing this roller coaster in the markets, right? We'll take a look at the stock market first to talk about this. This is the S&P 500 on the daily chart. Of course, we had the breakdown again of this ascending trend line. Like we were saying, just like the last one, this is a very steep trend line. It's not the most important thing in the world, a breakdown necessarily, but it is something to watch. But you could see this huge reversal candle, and again, what caused the top and the correction was the high inflation numbers. Now, what caused this massive green candle on Friday was Powell surprisingly dovish, all right? And a lot of the market still just can't figure out the macro environment that we're in. And a lot of people, they don't understand the things like cutting rates. Why would there be talk of cutting rates when you've got inflation ticking back up? Markets are blasted off at all-time highs for quite a long time now, right? And so a lot of people in the market are still using that framework um, of how things have been for decades to try and understand what's happening now. But we are in a different time now, in a different type of macro environment as we get towards the later stages of the fiat debt life cycle, all right? And that's kind of a whole different conversation, the crack up boom, but I'm thinking about doing a whole video just on the crack up boom. So if that's something that anybody would be interested in, go ahead and let me know in the comments, please, all right? Um, let's go ahead and take a look at the DXY, the DXY 8-hour here. Again, what we had said that the DXY, what's been happening is it's been breaking out from these downtrend trend lines, and then it keeps fading them, and it almost looks like that's what it's doing again, right? It has not been able to get any momentum coming off the breakout, and it's just teetering sideways now, and obviously this huge red candle came on the back of Powell being surprisingly dovish. This is where the market turned back risk on in a big way, and the DXY still continues to look bearish. All right. Now, take a look at gold and silver real quick. Gold just continues to chop sideways, but honestly, gold looks absolutely beautiful here because this is just a typical bull flag. After a huge parabolic run up for gold, this is just healthy sideways consolidation as it gets ready, most likely for the next move up. And we've got the sideways channel here. We've got the bottom support of that channel. We've got the top resistance of that channel. And as long as it's in between those levels, it's just more sideways. Either one of those levels breaks, and we'll start paying a little more attention, right? But everything still looks great with gold. Silver here. We know silver had that breakdown finally of the ascending trend line, but again, with this move back to risk on in the markets that you can see across everything we're looking at, silver looks to potentially be eyeing that previous high now. If it can take out that high, it's likely headed up for another leg up. So silver continues kind of this methodical move up as gold has been cooling off, which is perfectly normal and what you would want to see as silver plays catch up to gold. All right. Now, want to look at uranium. Now that we've been talking about uranium, and if you take a look at some of these uranium stocks from Friday. This is UEC, all right? This was the massive pullback coming off of um, the inflation, the higher inflation, and this is the massive V move back up, the V reversal cut coming off that move back into a risk-on environment. All right, and again, these uranium stocks are extremely risk-on type of assets, so they are going to react to risk on, risk off in the market very violently. They're actually more volatile than Bitcoin, at least now, for now. All right. UEC, you can see it had a 10% move basically on Friday. This is UROY looking absolutely beautiful. You can see UROY had been in this descending parallel channel for quite a while. I mean, this goes all the way back to September of 23. It's just been down and to the right in this descending parallel channel. It finally bottomed here and got the breakout of the channel here. And you can see it's been pulling back nicely and it's been retesting that channel breakout. It was able to hold right at this double level of support, and now it's shooting back up because of the risk on environment back on with Powell talking about potential rate cuts. All right, so UROY is another very interesting one to me. I actually have a call on it, and I do hold some UROY because it has a long way to go. It's definitely not in price discovery. All right, but that's basically the deal here with these uranium stocks. If we're in risk on environment, they're going to absolutely run, and we know we're in a uranium bull market. We'll take a look at MicroStrategy to end off the video here. MicroStrategy, of course, had the big breakdown here of this kind of floor horizontal level that it had been holding, and had that breakdown. It was looking pretty ugly. Of course, we got the big news with Powell surprisingly dovish. That has shot it back up in the short term. But as far as the chart here for now, this is just going to be a retest of that horizontal level. So this will be a bearish retest. All right. So what we need to see here on MicroStrategy, for anybody who's a MicroStrategy bull and holder, you want to see MicroStrategy reclaim this horizontal level. All right, I'd like to see it aggressively reclaim that level, possibly come back into that level after reclaiming it and flip it back to support, and then hopefully it can continue higher. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. The markets have been back and forth with reacting to news and numbers, and you just got to stay on your toes, and that's what we try and do over here. All right, so just remember, if you guys want to keep up with me and in real time on stuff I'm posting about the markets every day, make sure to go follow the socials of Front Run Tech. You can find those in the description of the video. Over on X is where I'm posting a lot. I also post on Noster. Both those links will be in the description video. All right. Thanks, everybody.